Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about how to show critical task in MS Project. There is a way you can see all the critical tasks. If you don't know what critical task is, any task in the project that if delayed could impact your project overall, those are called critical tasks. To illustrate this, let's take an example of a home construction project where we would have tasks such as building a foundation, wall, roof, painting a wall, and also doing some interior and lawn work. So let's take that as an example. And let's say building foundation takes 10 days. So building wall is definitely dependent on foundation. Without the foundation, we cannot build the wall. So we add the dependency there. As soon as the building foundation is done, let's say 5 days, we need 5 days to complete building the wall. And we cannot build the roof without the wall is up. So it is dependent on number 3. And let's say that takes another 5 days. Painting a wall without the wall, we cannot paint it. Without the roof, if we want, we can paint it. So let's say it's dependent on number 3, but not dependent on number 4. And let's say that takes another 4 days. There is no point in building interior when the roof is not up. Building interior is dependent on the roof completion. So that is number 4. And let's say that takes another 5 days. And installing the lawn and garden or making the garden nice, so it has no dependency, and let's say that takes another 5 days. If you look at this project, when will the project end? The project end on June 17th if we start on 5/14. Okay, that's today's date. At this point, this is a smaller project, so you can see which are the critical tasks, right? Anything that has a dependency. In MS Project, you can always add a column that will tell you the critical task. So that is called critical. So if I say critical, add a new column. So anything that is an yes, those are critical tasks. But the idea that I wanted to share here is, yes, we have a field or column in MS Project where we can see the critical task. But if you have a bigger, longer project, it's hard to look at yes and no, and you're going to miss it because you have to look at line by line. But if you have to glance at it and say which are the critical tasks, then the easy way is to add some graphical indicators. So if you right click on it, if you try custom fields, and you can add a graphical indicator here. But the problem is, if I try to say if the value is yes, I wanted to have a red for critical, then it won't show up here. So the reason is the way critical tasks are saved in MS Project is not as yes and no. Even though it's displaying as yes and no here, it's not saved as yes and no. It's saved as -1 and 0. So anything that is critical is -1. So let's see how we can add a critical task flag based on that information. So let me right click and add a column. We can use number or text. For time being, I'm going to use number 1. And we can right click and say custom field, go to formula, and in the formula, go to number 1 and type in critical. Okay. And if you look at the formula, it changed it into capital C. That is the field. And we want to roll up at all levels. And let's say we want to display the data. So now if you look at it, it's showing the data. Anything that is critical, that it has an S, it is -1, versus anything that is not critical, it is 0. But what we want is a graphical indicator. So go to custom field and click on graphical indicators. Now we can say if it is equal to -1, then I want to show that it's red, it's a critical activity. So click on that, voila. So anything that is red, you know that you don't have any bandwidth or buffer time, because if that gets changed from 5 days to 6 days, your overall project timeline is going to change. So let me show you that. If I make it 6, this will change from 6/17 to 6/18. So anything that you change on the red column, which is actually critical task. So you can rename it as critical task flag. So this way, you know that you don't have any option to extend the date here for the task that has a red critical flag without impacting the project date. So that's the whole concept of adding a visual indicator to your project plan, so you can immediately see which are the tasks that are critical, and that gets delayed, you will know upfront that it's going to impact your project timeline. Another way to look at it is, let's say currently the painting a wall is 4 days, and your contractor comes back and say that, hey, I may need 6 days. So the sponsor would ask you, would that impact the project? Right now it's not critical, so you may not know, you have to put 6 days and see if it becomes critical. So you can say, okay, I put 6 days, that's fine, it's not going to impact. But let's say contractor comes back and said, hey, I need 10 days, then when you put that, it's still not critical because it's going to complete before the project completion, but you have to do that guesswork, right? So the other way to look at it is, if the sponsor asks, okay, can we have 10 days? So the way to look at it is, go to Gantt chart, detail Gantt. So if you don't see it here, so you can go to more views and click detail Gantt and apply. So painting a wall, currently it's in non-critical, but if you look at it, now you have 1 day slack. That means you have, in addition to what is currently planned, you have 1 more day in buffer to adjust, or that you can play around. If he needs 1 more day, you can go ahead and grant it because it's not going to impact the project. Let's say if you make it 11 days, see the project is not impacted. Now that slack is gone. So those are some of the ways where you can identify critical tasks and utilize the flag that I showed in the Gantt chart to identify the task that has some buffer to play around, and the task that cannot be modified because, for time being, at this time, painting a wall now became a critical task, because from 4 days now it needs 11 days, even though it's not dependent on other things. The overall duration changed and now it's a critical task. So if it can be done in 10 days, then obviously it's not critical at that point. So just utilize this option. You definitely have this column critical, but having that visual indicator will help you to visually see quickly and glance through the project and see which projects or which tasks have some bandwidth to afford the delay for the project without impacting the project. All right, I wanted to share that with you guys today. I hope this helped you in some ways. So let me go back to the studio. All right, guys, so that's all for today. I hope you learned something new, or at least it helped you in some ways to identify critical task, or with this method you can do some other way to identify your task. Either way, if this video helped you in any way, give me that like button and consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. So that's all for today. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and bye.